Was the experience of the Shaw family unique or common? Dentdale in the 1770s was an agricultural valley in which there were rural industries. The remains of the coal mines and stone quarries are still visible. People worked in these, in agriculture or domestic weaving and knitting. Most of the population of Britain at this time worked in agriculture and small-scale rural industries. But this pattern was already changing. These job adverts appeared in newspapers.
Wanted immediately, 2 journeyman clockmakers or others that understands tooth and pinion well. Weavers, by applying at the mill, may have good work. There is employment for women and children and good wages. Cleanly, industrious and well-behaved families in which there are 3 or more children upwards of 10 years of age may have constant employment at the new Lanark cotton mills.
In 1780, there were around 20 cotton mills in Britain. By 1800, there were 900 cotton spinning factories. These were concentrated in particular regions. In other areas, there were no new mills and little industry. There was only the land to live off. This was the case in most of Ireland and in the Scottish Highlands. These 2 agricultural communities had a lot in common. At the top of the pyramid, there were landowners who rented out their land in large plots to tenants, who divided it into smaller plots and rented it again to others. At the bottom of the pyramid, large numbers of people cultivated very small plots of land. The landscape in Ireland today still shows the outline of these small holdings. To get enough food to survive from these small areas of land, these people cultivated the highly nutritious potato. But survival was becoming very difficult. From the mid-18th century on, population was steadily increasing throughout the United Kingdom. The land could not support the increasing numbers of people, so both the Highlanders and the Irish left their homes to look for work. The Highlanders went to the lowlands, the Irish to England. They got work on the harvest, or as servants, as casual labourers, or in the new industries. And more of them didn't go home. They settled where they were, or emigrated to Canada and the United States. This advertisement appeared in the Edinburgh Advertiser in 1773. It offered passage on the ship Hector from Greenock to Pictou Harbour in Nova Scotia. These people made their own decision to move, but there were others in these years who had no choice. At his trial in Edinburgh in 1816, Patrick Sellar was accused of violently evicting tenants off land he held on the estate of Lord and Lady Stafford in the Highlands of Scotland. He pleaded not guilty. A record of the trial was made by his defence counsel.
About the beginning of harvest, 1813, I mentioned that I wished to possess a pasturage farm. Lord and Lady Stafford directed me to offer for any farm I chose. I made an offer for the farms of Reloshk and Russell. On the 15th of January, 1814, I met the tenants on my farm. I selected those who should remain and explained to the others that they should be gone by Whitsunday following, as by then my flocks and shepherds would be ready. There was a small part of Reloshk occupied by a tinker of the name of Chisholm. He was ejected on the 13th of June, to the best of my recollection. I was not there on the first part of the ejection, but arrived in the afternoon. On reaching the place, I found that the officers had already ejected the man's furniture, such as it was, and that the roof was nearly off the house. But there was another small house to one end of the dwelling. That was untouched. I was informed that there was an aged person in there who could not then be removed. I asked the tinker if he would leave. He indicated he would not do so. He was considered to be a lawless man who would rebuild his house and settle there again, so I thought it necessary to buy the timber of the house. Having valued it at a few shillings, I paid the amount to the tinker. I considered the timber to be my property. I ordered it to be burnt.
That was what Sellar said in his declaration. The jury heard a different version of events from John Mackay.
I went to bed in Loskin. I was told by Mr. Cellar to meet him there for the purpose of removing William Chisholm. There was a woman lying sick in the house who could not be removed. Cellar said she must be taken away. He sent for the officer and said, "Put fire to the house immediately."
William Chisholm and his wife Henrietta Mackay also gave evidence.
The house was not set on fire till Cellar came up. My sister-in-law took out the old woman. The blankets she was wrapped in were burnt, and the bed was going on fire before she was taken out. Cellar said, "There's a bonfire for you."
When I came within a mile distance of the house, I saw it go into fire. I fell down, fearing my mother was burnt. One of the children met me and told me mother was still alive. I found her, speechless, in a small house. My mother never spoke to me, and she died on the Saturday thereafter.
Which version gave the truth? John Mackay and the Chisholms told the same story, but the details in their evidence were sometimes different. Patrick Cellar was found not guilty by a jury of landowners, prosperous farmers, merchants, and a lawyer. Whatever the truth,